I'm pleased to announce our next roundtable, Building Your Brand and Protecting It, Responding to a 4-Alarm Fire. Please welcome Tyler Cady, RJ Cronkhite, Marianne Sabo, Roy Sexton, Lindsay Sikora, and moderator Maxwell Goss.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our panel discussion on building your brand and protecting it. A timely topic for lawyers, and excited to follow Mike Morse, who knows more about law firm branding than Mike Morse. We've got a great panel for you this evening. My name is Maxwell Goss. I'm an IP and litigation attorney with Fishman Stewart. I'm also the host of a podcast called The Litigation War Room. Speaking of law firm branding, you can pick up Litigation War Room swag at the table out in the hall. There's enough for everyone. I'd encourage you to pick some up on your way out. We have a fabulous group of presenters this evening, people who've done great things when it comes to branding, building, and protecting a brand as lawyers and as parts of law firms. Here's just a word about the format. I'm going to go and ask each person a couple of questions. We'll have a discussion. I'll briefly introduce each person. And if you want to learn more about each, I would encourage you to look up the bios in your program. Then we're going to open it up for questions. So please be thinking now, both you here and those watching remotely, please be thinking now about any questions that you may have. There's a lot of wisdom to be shared, and there's a lot of experience represented here on our panel, and I do hope you take advantage of the opportunity to ask questions. But let's just jump into it. 2 of our members are here in person. 3 of them are here remotely via video. Let's start with Lindsay Sikora. Lindsay Sikora is a personal injury attorney. She's the owner and principal of Sikora Law, a personal injury firm. She also runs a business called Sikora Business Solutions, which she can tell you about. Lindsay is going to talk to us about systematizing your law firm's marketing. Lindsay, we're really pleased to hear from you. Can you tell us a little bit about, first, what do you mean by systematizing your marketing, and what are some of the things that you have done to systematize your law firm's marketing or branding, I should say?
Yes, thank you. And thanks for having me today. So systemizing your law firm is really all about making things more automatic. And that's what I was really striving to do with my firm. It allows principals and lead attorneys to not have to micromanage so much, which allows for delegation and more time to be focused on the things that they're best at and what they can contribute most to the firm. So by systemizing it, it makes it so that everything has a process. And if that process is well communicated to the staff, then everybody knows what comes next. I was spending a lot of time in my business early on discussing case by case, step by step with my paralegal and my assistant and my associate. And I found myself saying the same things over again. And I thought there's got to be a better way. And so that's what I really turned my focus on. We created what we call at the Sikora Law Firm a master plan. And we refer to that master plan for everything. And every letter and every document and every hearing that happens has a process involved that everybody is aware of.
So that's great. So basically you build a system, you build a flow so that you don't have to think about it and reinvent the wheel every time. What are some of the ways that you have imprinted your brand or your law firm's brand on the different communications that your law firm sends out and the different things, activities that your firm engages in?
Yeah, so all of our correspondence looks the same. We use the same logo in the same areas. We use the same sign-off lines. We use the same forms over and over again to check in with our clients, and nothing is being recreated. We don't recreate the wheel. So in the master plan, we have it divided up into sections depending on where you are with your lawsuit, pre-suit or post-suit, discovery or settlement. And you can simply go to that area in the master plan. And not only does it tell you a step-by-step process on how to conduct the litigation of the lawsuit, but it also has forms attached to it. So, you know, if you're in section A of the discovery phase and it's an auto case and it's a third party, that these are the forms that you're going to want to look to. There's links to them, and all my staff has access to them at any given moment. So they don't have to come and ask me, oh, we got this answer in, what's the next step? They know the next step is to create a caption and mark the calendar for the due date for the initial disclosures and things of that nature, where I don't have to assign each and every little thing each and every time.
Thank you, Lindsay. Turning to Tyler Cady. Tyler Cady, you are a digital marketing guru. You run a business called To Engage. I know you're an expert on SEO, email marketing, and really all aspects of digital marketing. Let me start with this. Why is digital marketing important for lawyers?
Thank you, Max. Digital marketing is critical for attorneys because that's how you understand where your clients are coming from. That's a big part of cascading your brand across every platform there is out there. Brand awareness is critical, and digital marketing is the new age. So there's a whole lot more to it than that, but you have to have the right representation of your brand with the types of clients that you want to see out there so that you get the primary focus of what you're looking for and everybody else gets the overlap.
Okay, and what are some of the key things that lawyers need to understand about digital marketing?
It's a really good question, Max. There's a couple things. First off, what we recommend is looking at your perfect client. Your perfect client meets one of two criteria. The first is the type of client that makes you the most money and the type of client that you really want to have your brand representing, right? The type of law you want to practice. Second, your quality of life. That matters a lot. Do you want to be married to your office 24/7? Or do you want to be able to have some breakdown time? Those are two components that we encourage our clients to think about. And then you need to start thinking about having a world-class website that just blows your competitors out of the water. To Engage is very proud to have built the website for Mark Rossman's firm for the Symposium, Reader Plackton Murphy in Grand Rapids, and others that are in the works right now. You need to understand your reputation and how to take that reputation that you have and make it visible to everybody else that's looking at you on the digital spectrum. Do it better than everybody else. And then, of course, you have to have the right representation across all the other appropriate platforms.
Well, Tyler, you and your company have built a beautiful website for this symposium. It's beautiful, it's sleek, it's functional, and it certainly is a cut above what we often see for lawyer conference and symposium websites.
Thank you, Matt.
So yeah, it's really fabulous. Well, let's turn to RJ Cronkite. RJ Cronkite is a litigation attorney and partner at Dinsmore. I also know RJ is a technology aficionado. RJ and I have had some great discussions. I've learned a lot from RJ. He's very insightful when it comes to technology in particular. And RJ, we'd like to hear from you on protecting your brand in the teleworking age. Here we all are. Some of us are here. Some of our presenters are remote. Many people are watching at home. It seems like this is becoming the new normal. Tell us about building a brand as a lawyer or a law firm in the teleworking age.
Right. So thank you, Max. I want to talk about, what do we mean by brand? So there's lots of definitions of brand. I like the simple one, which is branding is the art of aligning what one thinks of oneself with what one wants others to think of them. And how does that interplay with teleworking? Okay, so teleworking, I mean, let's face it, it's here to stay. It's revolutionary. It involves not only the mode of work in terms of this is how we're actually working, but it also involves how I'm interfacing with people, clients, courts, opposing counsel. And what is that but image? It's the image of how we're perceived. And so how are we working to make sure that here's what I want people to think of me, And here's what they actually think of me in the teleworking sphere. So when I talk about protecting one's brand within the teleworking age, it's making sure that whatever I want people to think, and I make no normative judgments, it's, am I making sure that in the teleworking medium, my branding that I want people to think about when they think about me is being consistently, effectively communicated, whether it's to clients, courts, opposing counsel, whoever.
Well, just to follow up, what are, I guess it's two-part really, what are some of the specific challenges that teleworking presents for branding oneself as an attorney? And then are there any opportunities that it presents?
But I think there are massive opportunities. I mean, so you've got kind of the old guard, some people who are traditionalists, and their branding is like, I don't want to be a teleworker. And that's fine. I mean, you can maintain that consistent branding by not teleworking. Then you have some people who see teleworking as an amazing advantage, an opportunity in order to either reinvent themselves or maybe to push an already existing brand. Say, look, I'm tech savvy. I can communicate with you remotely. I'm flexible. So as I said, I make no normative judgments. It's just a matter of making sure that you're not treating teleworking as a phase, because I believe it's here to stay. Like one fascinating statistic, pre-pandemic, only 32% of attorneys thought they could or wanted to work remotely. Post-pandemic, well, during the pandemic now, and probably post-pandemic, it's more than doubled. We're now in the 70% range in terms of attorneys who actually want to work remotely. So I think it's here to stay. We've seen the courts adopt it. And it's a matter of making sure that if I want to come across as organized, as an effective communicator, making sure you're not coming across as scrambled when you're teleworking, making oral arguments virtually, meeting clients virtually, making sure that your image is not being tarnished or reduced because you're simply not prepared to actually work in the telework medium.
Well, thank you, RJ. Let's turn to Roy Sexton. Roy Sexton coming in remotely. Roy Sexton is the director of marketing for Clark Hill. Clark Hill is, of course, a very well-established and well-recognized firm, but one would have to have been asleep not to notice that Clark Hill has really undergone tremendous growth in recent years. And Roy, I understand that in conjunction with that growth process, there was also an effort to do a rebranding for Clark Hill. So can you, first, why don't you tell us a bit about your efforts at rebranding for the Clark Hill firm?
Absolutely. And this ties with a question in the chat from Kimberly about what are specific examples of law firm branding. Kimberly, go to clarkhill.com. We'll get another web hit for that. I appreciate it. And follow us on social media too. Thanks. I do want to touch on, as I transition to that topic, what Mike was saying, Mike Morse, about trust your business people to be business people. And I'm going to say this hard truth, and I hope people hear it with the smile in my heart. Don't treat your marketing team, your in-house marketing team, like they're Kinkos and bring them a list of things you want them to do for you. Let them collaborate with you. Let those of us who understand the digital platforms we've been discussing leverage them to get you out there. If our hands are tied with sponsorships through things that don't work and lawyer lists that we obsess about, we aren't going to be able to do the things that we've been doing at Clark Hill. The pandemic presented a unique opportunity for us to really pivot because we weren't tied up planning holiday parties and sending out cookies and things that people think have value. We were actually able to focus on what our value proposition was, like other organizations. My mother used to say something, I'm snapping my fingers to keep the elephants away. And you'd say, well, there are no elephants. You'd say, it's working. Every firm I've gone to, there's a lawyer that says, oh, at Clark Hill, there's a wonderful attorney who said, I sent out all these pies at the holidays and they made such a big difference with my clients. And I said, if your clients are only hiring you because you're sending out pies, we have a bigger problem. So you have to step back and say, what is our problem statement first? And at Clark Hill, it was, we're huge. And I don't even think people in Michigan realize we're AmLaw 105 right now, 26 offices, also Dublin and Mexico City. But we had not integrated. We had been acquiring and combining as attorneys do in wonderful ways, but they don't stop to think about what would the culture be. So we did our brand and rebrand, not just to change the look and feel, but to have a coherent message that went to the market about what we are and who we are. And it gave us a unique opportunity to integrate all of those disparate cultures and all those attorneys that wanted to send pies and say, what are we really? What do our clients want? And the first step we took was take a survey of everyone, attorneys and staff. Who are we? What makes us special? What sets us apart? We worked with some external consultants to sift through that. We talked to our clients. Most importantly, you talk to your clients about, why do you currently pay us money to do what we do? And what we learned was it was our set of values that we'd been sitting on for years. And so we did go with a new look and feel that unified the entire organization. We had a unified message. We leveraged video very effectively. We worked with Tel Studios. I highly recommend them. Last year, we had 4.8 million reach on our social media, 4.8 million, 500,000 of which were the brand videos we launched, which were Clark Hill people telling the Clark Hill story from every region, not just the Midwest, the West, the East, Dublin, Mexico City, everywhere we are. We got those voices in pandemic. Wasn't easy. Recorded and edited together to tell the Clark Hill story. And we have had exponential growth, both in our reach of our message. Our revenue is incredibly well up, as it is for everybody because of the pandemic, and what we're seeing in terms of responsiveness to our content.
Thank you, Roy. Just a quick follow-up. When is it appropriate for a law firm to rebrand?
Well, I think there are a couple triggers. A, have you had the same logo for 15 or 20 years and your website hasn't been touched, and it just, the smell test is it belies, if you're saying things like we're a progressive, thoughtful organization and we're tech savvy, and someone looks at your website and it clearly hasn't been updated in even 5 years, you might have a problem. But don't just do it to do it. I still think, look at that cultural touch point. Are you offering something different than you offered before? Have you combined with other organizations? You know, we had panels earlier with kind of younger attorneys that are coming on board with a different value proposition. Understand your marketing is not just for clients. You're also marketing to talent. So you have to put your best foot forward. And if you want to get that young talent on board and tell the stories that you have to tell, look at that brand. And if it's not there, if I hate to say this, if it's a bunch of library books and a set of scales, chances are you're out of date. And that talent, and by the way, the complexion of that talent also is youthful on the GC side. We're seeing a lot of people leave law school and not go in the law firm mode. They go right in-house to the people that will be hiring us. So they're looking also to firms that are leaning forward and thinking progressively. And if your brand doesn't speak to that now, you're going to be in trouble. Now, Max, I want to throw a question back to you because you do a really good job at branding yourself and the firm of which you're a part with your podcasting and other things. I mean, based on what I said, is there anything you would challenge or augment or reflect upon?
Thank you, Roy. No, there's nothing I'd challenge, and I appreciated your insights. I think the only thing that I would add is I would encourage every attorney to think about their personal brand. If you're part of a larger organization, your law firm is or should have a distinct brand of its own. But I think it's important for attorneys to have their own personal brand. It doesn't need to be in competition with whatever other larger firm that they may be a part of. And there's a couple of pieces to that. At its most basic level, personal branding involves just having things that you're known for, a practice area, a niche within that practice area, maybe a micro niche that you're really one of the very few authorities on. And that's also if I guess a piece of advice that I would give and that I have given is that if there are things that people say about you that are positive, double down on that. Somebody says you're a great oral advocate. Double down on that. Work on your oral advocacy and become known for that. Somebody says you're great at managing clients or handling clients or relating to clients. Okay, again, double down on that and run with it and think, what is the thing that's going to set me apart? But more formally, when we talk about branding, there are things that, I don't know if every attorney needs to do this, but it's something that any attorney should consider. Are there things you can do to build something that's more like a formal brand? So this is just an example, but something that I've tried to do is to have my own personal brand that I can carry with me wherever I go throughout my career. One way that I've done that is through my podcast, which I established last year. That podcast, The Litigation War Room, has a distinctive name. It has a logo. It has cover art. It has a website. It has a slogan. There's a whole set of pieces of intellectual property that form a brand. And it helps me to distinguish myself or brand myself, I hope, as a go-to litigator. And so I'm very fortunate. I'm part of Fishman Stewart, which is a fabulous entrepreneurial intellectual property law firm. And I just joined that firm last year, and they saw that as an asset, not something that was somehow in competition or somehow a threat, but something that they have supported tremendously. And not every firm has that philosophy, but I'm fortunate. And again, it's something that I would encourage any attorney to think about, is what is their personal brand in addition to the brand of whatever organization they may be part of.
Hey, Max, one quick thing too. Back to your question about when you know you need
Please.
to rebrand. If you feel like the energy is out of your sales, don't leave on the table the opportunity to re-energize your own organization. Again, back to Mike's presentation, pay attention to the fact that he's using this opportunity to galvanize his team and point them in the same direction. So a lot of people just think about the outside and they don't think about that opportunity uniquely to get people excited about. We all like to redecorate a room in our house or redo a bathroom. We do that because we're like, wow, it's fresh and new. That creates energy inside your organization and people work harder as a result.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Get all the boats rowing in the same direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to turn finally to Marianne Sabo. Marianne Sabo is a PR professional who runs Sabo PR. One of our panelists described her as a legend in the public relations world. It's my pleasure to have her as a panelist. And Marianne can comment on what might be called the flip side of branding. What do you do as a lawyer or a law firm when a crisis hits, when an adverse event of some kind happens that is really bad for your brand? Marianne, what are some things that can be done in that situation?
Absolutely. When you have a crisis situation, I often refer to it as your hair's on fire. And when your hair's on fire, you can't really do anything else but think, my gracious, my hair's on fire, and I have to put it out. So one of the first things that you want to do is, once you have that initial fire out, is you want to put people first. In any crisis, I think people often go to the idea that we're going to go to the media and we've got to get a media statement, we've got to get a media plan, because we're going to have some reporter knocking on our door and asking us questions we don't want. But you always need to pause, take a breath, and make sure that you're coming at it from a place of humanity. So putting people first. So probably the second thing you want to do is gather all your facts, because a lot of times that, the crisis situation, it feeds on itself, and there's a lot of frenzy and people are running in and they're saying, I heard this and I heard that. So what you want to do is make sure that you're getting accurate information from reliable sources so that you can build a chronology that will allow you to base your decisions and your actions on facts. And then you want to gather your team, because again, you want to make sure that you have the right people around the table. You want to make sure that you have the internal stakeholders and the internal decision makers who need to be at the table. It's also a good idea to have external folks like myself and others, accountants, and sometimes the insurance folks, to be part of your team, because while we know and love our law firms and our clients, we also are one step removed. So we can bring a level of calm that sometimes when you're in that eye of the hurricane, you can't really bring easily to yourself.
Thank you. That is really valuable. And let me ask you this. Once you've undertaken the steps that you've recommended, gathering the facts, pulling together a team, and so on, from a PR perspective, when a brand is tarnished by an adverse event, what are some of the first steps that an organization needs to take to remedy that once you've gotten those things together?
Well, I might go at it just a little bit different way if I can, Max, because I think
by all means.
Because if you do it the right way and you continue on with, I think, a planful approach to it, you can get to the point where you're not really going to tarnish your brand. So, because that's an entirely different, I think, situation. But you want to prioritize your stakeholders. Again, I mentioned people often go to media first, and they are always the last, always the last stakeholders in ours. I like to say that if you drop a pebble in water and you look at the rings closest to your organization are those that are most important to you. And you want to look at your staff, you want to look at your attorneys, you want to look at your clients. And then from there you go out and you go to the media, because they're going to go, and they may be a pain for a few days, but they're going to go eventually and do something else. But if you don't pay attention to those people who are closest to you, you can do a lot of damage there. So you also want to remember what your brand is too, and not to lose that in the flurry. So you want to make sure that you're behaving as you do day in and day out, even though, again, your hair is on fire.
Thank you. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. Happy to take any questions, either from the audience here or if there are any in chat.
There is a microphone roving around, so if you ask questions from the audience, please get the mic so we can hear you online.
I would just like some recordings of PJ to listen to when I need some soothing tones.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome.
Well, while you think about your question, does anyone, she has a mic, does anyone, I can ask one, but we'd love to get questions from the audience if you have any about branding. One question I have is this, perhaps we put the cart in front of the horse just a little bit, but branding, I think of as something that's part of a larger marketing strategy, and that itself may be part of a larger business development strategy. Can someone, or one or more of you, comment on what branding is and how it fits into the bigger picture of developing business?
Can I take a quick swing at that and then let the others who have deeper thoughts go?
Yes, Roy Sexton, please.
I think we're surrounded by brand all the time. And I think when we get to law firms, we struggle with, well, what's a law firm brand? But we know a brand like Disney. We know a brand like Apple. And brand at its core is both the iconography and the value proposition of whatever it is you might be purchasing. With Apple, it's very easy. It's a closed ecosystem. It's a sleek look. It's got design. It's a bit higher end, and it's a feeling of security and safety. So with a law firm, I like to take lessons from non-legal enterprises like Disney, like Apple, like Marvel. What are they doing well, and why do you buy what you buy from them? Taking that then and applying it to your own organization, what does make you unique? And I know we tend to get into the, like, kids playing soccer, all chasing the same soccer ball. And you get the lawyers, no slight to present company, involved. And they're like, we need to tell them we're the best and we're exceptional and we've got all these awards. Your clients don't care about that. They care about the fact that you're approachable, accessible, and that you're going to deliver on results and outcomes. I know that's dangerous territory for attorneys because they don't want to talk about guarantees, but that's what your clients are interested in at some level. So help them understand what they're buying, the people they're buying, and what makes you unique. And however you then create a logo or anything to represent that, just like the mouse at Disney represents service, excellence, escape. You see the mouse, you know what you're going to get. And so find a way to do that in your own law firms.
Okay, thank you very much. And Tyler, I don't want to put you on the spot, but it looked like maybe you wanted to add to that too about how branding fits into the larger business development picture for attorneys.
Yeah, I think he and I were both on the exact same page. It's about consistency and continuity, brand recognition, but what differentiates you from your competitors. You have a brand promise that needs to show up with everything that you do, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's your broad media advertising, whatever it is, that message needs to be continuous and continuous. So he hit it right on the head.
Thank you. And just following up on that stream of thought, I mean, I don't know how many attorney websites I've gone to that say, we're aggressive, or we care. I mean, hey, that's what we want. We want an aggressive attorney, or we want an attorney who cares. But any thoughts from anyone on the panel for how do you set yourself apart from the pack and find something that's a little more original, distinctive, and memorable than those catchphrases that you see all too often?
Well, yeah, actually, I'd love to take that, Max. Great. And we're like I said, we're very proud to have built the website for Mark Rossman PC, for the Symposium, for Brian Reeder, with the Reeder Plackton Murphy. But each of those websites represents their brand. So it goes along with the brand and continuity that we've been talking about throughout this entire presentation. There is a very strong differentiation because their personality of their firms is inside of those websites. It's the way it's designed. It's the functionality of that website. It's the content that's in there. It's the way the pictures look. And if you want to have a world-class firm, you need to have a world-class presence from a digital marketing perspective and any marketing or media perspective. So setting yourself aside from other competitors requires that you have a level of ingenuity that they don't. You don't follow a cookie cutter approach. You take a Cadillac marketing perspective, which is what we recommend to our clients. And I think that's why, and Max, thank you very much for the feedback that you gave earlier. My firm very much appreciates it. I'm very proud of it. But that's what sets those websites apart from what you would otherwise see.
Hey, could I just add, make it personal. You know, tell a story, make it personal. We've all seen the fancy sites. They're all the same on some level. I think what differentiates companies and people is that you've told a personal story and you've connected with the audience that others are missing an opportunity to do.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
was just
Max,
gonna-
Lindsay wants to, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome.
Like over here.
Sorry.
I know we're out of time. So the last thing I wanted to say is I really think it's all about how the client feels, how they feel when they walk into your firm. Are they greeted? What pictures do they see on the wall? What magazines are left out for them? What furniture are they sitting in? You know, who's there and how they feel when they call you and the tone that you use when you speak with them. You know, when you think of brands like Coca-Cola, you know, how do you feel when you watch that Coca-Cola commercial?
I think what you just said picks up perfectly with what you started with, which is let your branding touch every aspect of your law firm and your law practice, not just your website, not just the logo you stick on the top of things, but everything down to what's hanging on the walls, the furniture they sit in, the communications you have with the client, everything.
Yes.
Do we have time for one question from the peanut gallery?
I agree with what she just said. It's all about the experience. But my question was, and it's for anyone who wants to take a shot at it, is what are your thoughts on LinkedIn and how effective is it in your business?
I think it's inescapable. And I know that for many of my attorneys, they're like, I don't have time for that. But you have time to take someone golfing for 6 hours, 8 hours. You have time to go to a cocktail party. You have time to sit through this. Put the LinkedIn app on your phone. And when you're getting a cup of coffee or when you're at your kid's soccer game, pull it up. Find some of your clients. Like, all you need to do is like a few things. You don't even need to post that much stuff. If you have somebody in-house crazy like me who's posting all the time, just share stuff. And also don't get in your own kind of echo chamber of I do this practice and this is all I care about. And I'm only going to share these things because the people following me only care about that. Share everything about your firm. They're going to see you're part of a larger organization and go, I want to partner with them. I think you avoid LinkedIn at your peril at this point.
Yeah, I'd like to just add one thing on there. It's something that you can no longer ignore. And it's another medium for communicating your brand awareness. And every opportunity that you're not communicating that brand awareness is an opportunity that a competitor is taking advantage of over you.
And the only thing I would add, and I hope none of the marketing professionals disagree with me, maybe you do, you can feel free. If as a lawyer, you're going to choose one social media platform, choose LinkedIn, because that's where other professionals are. And that's where they're going to expect to see content. Doesn't have to all be buttoned down content with no personal aspects to it. In fact, it shouldn't be like that. But they're actually expecting to see content related to the services that you offer.
Hey, I know we're close, but Mary Ann, from a PR media perspective,
If you have pick one, now if you have pick two, okay, MySpace.
but from a PR media perspective, Mary Ann, how are your feelings about LinkedIn these days?
Well, I think probably the social media platform that the media gravitate more toward is Twitter, because they look at it very much as AP. There's breaking news and things there. We truly recommend for attorneys who are not, if you're only going to be on one, do be on LinkedIn. Please don't get on Twitter and just decide you're going to tweet. Don't get on TikTok. I mean, you want to make certain that the brand is really going to be something that reflects you. We had a client once who asked, can I get on Snapchat? And I'm like, no one wants to see you on Snapchat. Please don't do that. So.
Sage advice, wise words. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your insights. And we really appreciate it. I would encourage anyone in the audience here in person or at home to reach out to any of us. If you have any questions or just want to connect, hey, find us on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.